My name's Mary Parisi. I'm from West Deptford, New Jersey. Last spring, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I was able to get treatment. I rang the bell, and now I'm in the follow-up stage. If I didn't have that insurance, I would not have gone for the testing and gotten that diagnosis. If that insurance goes away, how am I going to maintain my health? How am I going to take care of my family? I'm paying almost $300 a month. If that goes away, I'm going to get stuck paying $2,500 a month. I can't afford that. So my option becomes no insurance. Do I insure my kids and not me and my husband?
That was one of New Jersey Senator Cory Booker's constituents. His office has been collecting those stories, and he joins me now. Senator, I've been hearing stories like that from a lot of people. We've been seeing people post on even Reddit threads as open enrollment starts. They've been taking screenshots of the price being quoted for them. If, let's say, the Democrats were successful here, how would you imagine that success becoming a legislative solution? Meaning, like, what would the steps be such that something would get passed and it would be part of a deal to end the shutdown?
Well, for me, they have to do something more than promises. I don't trust this president. I don't trust the word of Republicans. I want to see something substantive because of exactly that video you showed. I spent tonight calling New Jersey constituents who had reached out to me, from a small business person who is desperately trying to hold on to their health insurance for their children and for their spouse, to a farmer in my state who employs 12 people. Everybody's on the exchange. She's facing a $12,000 annual increase and has two beautiful little girls that she's taking care of. The reality that they were saying to me is, please do not stop fighting to get this subsidy there. And Chris, you and I know this. It is so ridiculous what we are watching right now from the Senate. We're watching him come up with tens of billions of dollars to bail out Argentina. We are watching him spend at least $100 million on destroying the White House to rebuild it in his image. We are seeing Republicans find money for everything imaginable when it comes to their priorities, their wealthy, connected, billionaire friends who are getting massive tax cuts that are costing us $1 trillion of deficit, but yet they can't come up for working Americans to help them have affordable health care. It is outrageous, the stories of pain and fear and worry, and they want Democrats in the Senate to stand strong.
So I want to ask you about the psychology of you and your colleagues in this moment, because I have covered multiple shutdowns. And generally, there's been a kind of asymmetry between the two parties, which is Democrats generally want to do whatever they can to keep the government open, and Republicans are like, we don't really like the government, and so if it shuts down, it shuts down. And this asymmetry has really affected the way the negotiations have gone, the way that all of these showdowns have. And what I think I've heard and seen, I want to get your thought, is because Russ Vought and Donald Trump have basically said, it really doesn't matter what you guys pass anyway, we're going to do what we're going to do. We'll close down programs, we'll spend money we don't have. You're just less concerned about that, or it's changed the calculus for how you and your colleagues think about all this.
Donald Trump has told us what he's thinking. He said, I want to cause maximum pain to Americans in order to try to force Democrats to capitulate. Just think about that for a second. He wants to hurt Americans. One of the ways he's doing that right now is unjustly threatening food stamps. They have the discretionary funds to keep those payments, SNAP payments to be more specific, those SNAP payments going, but he just wants to cause that pain. And again, it flies in the face of everything that we should be standing for, especially with vulnerable people, for him to be cutting off food aid unnecessarily in order to cause that maximum pain. So again, it is a moment where we've got to stand and fight and find an off-ramp, ultimately, of this that alleviates the pressure on Americans, does something to lower their healthcare costs, and gets us back to a functioning government. When he controls the White House, the Senate, and the House of Representatives, I've seen the master classes in yoga my Republican colleagues are doing and how they're bending over backwards to do his will. He needs to come to the table and say, you know what, I'm going to do what I promised Americans I would do. I'm going to lower their costs and start with their health care costs. This is something he can do. It wouldn't cost that much money, given all the things he's spending money on, from planes for Kristy Noem all the way to foreign bailouts to help his investor friends. The reality is he needs to focus on the American people and find a way to bring this to an end, especially when you control government right now.
Final question for you. You sit on the Agricultural Committee. You were the mayor of Newark before you were a senator from New Jersey, but there are farmers in your state, and you're on that Ag Committee. How dire are things getting on the farm side of this, particularly on the soybean side? I mean, you're sort of hearing Brooke Rollins and some farm state senators raising a hue and cry, but my reporting and the things I've read and the people I've talked to suggest like it really is at crisis level for a lot of American farmers right now.
Yeah, my state is what's called a specialty crop state, so it's fruits and vegetables. We're feeling the pain because they've gutted so many of the grant programs that we got done in a bipartisan way under the Biden administration. But yes, when Donald Trump is doing this chaotic trade war with China and then funding Argentina, where China now has gone to buy its soybeans, it's opening up new markets. It is really kneecapping farmers. I talked to a dear friend of mine in Iowa today, went back and forth on text, and she just went through how farmers in our state are really hurting, because it's not just losing their markets for their soybeans. Because of this tariff policy, all their input costs are going up as well. And so what Donald Trump is doing is he's causing one of the greatest farm crises we've seen in recent years. A very constituency that, especially in a lot of these red states who voted for him, and what I'm hearing more and more is they're becoming dissatisfied because Donald Trump is hitting them on the tariffs. They're losing their markets. They're seeing their costs, their input costs go up. And they're even losing, as I found out from a lot of my Iowa friends, they're even losing some of the energy projects that used to help them make extra money, because Donald Trump hates wind and is hurting those as well.
Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey, thank you for your time tonight, sir.
Thank you very much.
We'll be right back.